Why is the Montreal Canadiens medical staff sheltering Kirby Dach the way they are? Or am I just overreacting? Are they trying to protect him a little bit too much to go into the season as the number 2 center? Or is there something wrong with him that they just aren't telling us? Let's talk some puck. Hey gang, Coach here from Puck Talk Montreal, and let's just get right into it, starting with today's do's and don'ts from their ice session. And as you can see here, you've got Demidov feeding Laine for a goal, and everybody's happy and clapping. And, you know, that's pretty much what we saw today. The two guys, again, playing alongside Oliver Kapanen, doing really well. And here you see Demidov just having fun out there, making things happen. And, you know, playing at the skill level we all expect. Here you've got Matheson playing alongside Dobson. And take a look on the right side. You're going to catch a glimpse of, oh, wait a minute. Is that Laine in the defensive zone down deep that we can't see him on camera? Hold on. Oh, there he is. He was along the boards the entire time. That's kind of what you want to see from him, right? Then, of course, the puck gets cleared. Kapanen comes up with it, as he was playing with him, like I mentioned, the entire day. Dobson with a good play to get him off the puck. Wawa rims it around the boards, and eventually the red team gets it out. Now, the red team won today's game by a score of 4-3. What that means, we'll tell you a little bit later on. But then, of course, you've got Reinbacher on a breakaway. Got a penalty, actually. It's a penalty shot where, you know, instead of penalties and having two guys off for 2 minutes, they just race down the ice with chasers and you try to score before they get to you. It's kind of the way you do it in practice and in scrimmages, which is a lot of fun anyway, and the kids enjoy it. So I guess these guys do as well. You see him out there with Delgado, and the nice thing you see here about Reinbacher and this isolated camera is the fact that he keeps a gap and a good, I'd say, 3 stick lengths from the opposing player. And then here he'll come inside the blue line to make a play offensively as the puck is played back into the middle and a shot on goal. And then, of course, as we said, the red team gets the puck and clear. And then, of course, because the red team won, guess what? White gets to skate. 12 minutes, 3 guys on the other side doing 3 laps, full tilt. Now, guess what? This isn't such a tough thing to do. Take it from my experience. Having guys do 3 laps around the nets at full speed is the equivalent of a 45-second shift. And you want to see the guys' conditioning. A lot of the guys during this clip, if I were to let it run, you'll see them by the 3rd lap, they're trying to slow down quite a bit. And that's not what Marty St. Louis wants to see. He wants to see their conditioning get better. So with this drill, that'll help. It's a lot like what coaches in my day used to do when you'd miss the net. Miss the net, 10 push-ups. And let me tell you, I did my share of push-ups in my day. Enough about that. Let's get to some of the quotes today that we found interesting. Starting with Cole Caulfield, who was asked about the power play units and the feasibility that, you know what, he may very well end up on either one of them, and how he thinks the time is going to be allocated between those two is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it's good to have those numbers. I think a lot of options, a lot of different things we can do, and I'm excited to see what we can do. Whether guys are tired out there, we can always put out a good unit that's going to, execute and attack and find a way to score a goal, and that's the most important thing.
I want to thank the reporter, by the way, that decided to clear his throat in the middle of that soundbite. Really professional, buddy. But getting back to what Cole Caulfield said, it's really important. The fact that the Canadiens are going to have the numbers to have 2 really good power play units out there, regardless of which one Dobson or Hudson are on, regardless of where Caulfield, Laine are, Demidov, there's going to be a lot of talent on the power play. You know, if you take on one unit, you'll get Uri Slafkovsky. On the second unit, you may very well get Zach Bolduc. On the first unit, you get Nick Suzuki. On the second unit, maybe you get somebody like an Oliver Kapanen or a Joe Veleno. And then on the third unit, you'll have maybe an Alex Newhook, whatever. At the end of the day, the Canadiens have all kinds of different options. Caulfield could be on one unit, Laine could be on the other, or you can have them both on one and maybe put Demidov on the second unit. All kinds of options. That's what Cole is talking about. And the fact that the Canadiens have so many options and can very well split the time in half and play whichever unit is hotter at any given time in the season, that's a weapon that Marty St. Louis has not had since he started coaching the Montreal Canadiens. And if he wants to get that power play to the 25% level that he talks about year after year, this is the year to start that trend. The Canadiens were just below 20% last season to end it. I think they could very well hover at somewhere between 25 and 27 based on the amount of skill they have this year. Execution, though, will be the big key. But based on the skill set, I think they shouldn't have a problem being able to do that. Then, of course, the reporters get smart. And they start asking players the most important question of all. How do you see your teammate getting better this year? And in this case, it was Cole Caulfield being asked about how much better Slafkovsky is.
Yeah, I think he's learned a lot. Everybody, he's a young kid. I think we all know that, but he's had a lot of experience in this league, and he knows what to expect out of himself, and we expect a lot out of him too. And I think he's had a really good summer. He looks good in camp so far. So we're all behind him, and I know he's going to get off to a good one.
So here's the thing. Cole sounds a little bit too much like a coach, right? He's a young kid. We have certain expectations of him. We this, we that. It's not up to reporters to ask players what they think of their teammates. They can ask him about what they think about Demidov because he's new to the team and they're seeing his skill for the first time. So a lot of it will be very pure, very unadulterated opinion on what the kid can do. But for somebody like Slav, who's been on the team for 3 years and has been on a line with Cole for that same amount of time almost, the question shouldn't be, how much better do you think Slafkovsky is going to be this season, or how do you think he looks after a full season of working out in the summer? It should be about, what Cole can do and what Cole did to get better over the summer. It's all about the individual players. So stop asking players about others. Now, in that same venue, or whatever the word is, in that same vein, let's go take a look at Slafkovsky. And he was asked what he thinks the keys are for him to be able to succeed next season.
Just play hard, use my body, like I said 1,000 times already. And just win pucks, get to the net, be strong when I have the puck, make the right decisions on the ice, and score some goals.
So doesn't that sound like somebody who's trying to be a power forward? And it's a bit of a transition for Slafkovsky because when he was in the Czech Republic playing hockey, or Czechia, or whatever the name of the country is, or Slovakia, the idea was that he wasn't so much as a power forward as he was a guy who played on larger ice and was skillful. That changes when he comes to the Montreal Canadiens because ever since he's been here, he's been given the role of being more of a power forward, much like what the Canadiens originally wanted from Josh Anderson. So in that continuous avenue of stupid questions, somebody asked him how the new contract, which for Slafkovsky kicks in this year, will change the way he plays, or does it change anything?
It changed my bank account, that's about it. I don't see any other change.
And that's the answer you should hear from a player. He's earned the bank account. The Canadiens gave him his $7+ million contract. That's it. It shouldn't affect the way he plays based on the amount of money he makes. And that's the misconception that everybody has. If you make more money, you got to play better. Well, if the team didn't think you were playing better, they wouldn't have given you the money in the first place. So stop asking players dumb questions and ask them what they really think. How do you think your game is going to change this season, and what are your expectations? That's a better question. Here's the better answer.
I feel like I have the biggest expectations coming from myself. I don't know. I focus on what my teammates and my coach expect from me, and I don't think that has something to do with the contract.
Honesty. I don't think anything that my coach asks of me has to do with my contract. Talk about being intelligent and smart instead of anything else. You're right. And it's irresponsible of the reporter to even ask about the contract. When he signs it, how happy are you about your new contract, and how do you feel? That's the question. Anything above and beyond that, it would be like trying to ask Scott Gomez, how do you feel about making $7 million a year but only scoring once in a calendar year? Did anybody ever ask him that question? No. Why? Because it's stupid. And so we need to get away from those stupid questions that we ask players, right? And unfortunately, none of us as podcasters are there to actually ask any of them, right? It's always mainstream media. So we're victim of whatever questions they come to ask. And there are a lot of guys that do ask very pertinent questions in both English and French, but somehow, some way, there's always one who's going to ask a question that goes, duh. Now, speaking of duh, what a segue. Let's talk a little bit about Noah Dobson. Dobson, of course, the Canadiens' big acquisition over the summer. And he was asked about his impressions of the group as he came to training camp.
Pretty impressive to come into the group and see how tight-knit of a group it is. You can kind of see it from day one, even just leading into camp. Just the work ethic and the preparation and the hunger to get better and push each other. And everyone's having a great time enjoying each other doing it. So it's been great to come into that group and be a part of it now.
I can't wait to see what this guy's going to look like when he's pissed off. Because, oh my God, does he seem really passive as a defenseman. You know, you could see in yesterday's show when Caden Gooley was talking, you could see there's a little bit of anger, a little bit of fervor there, right? But Noah Dobson seemed just so chill, right? So laid back. And, of course, he's from the Maritimes, so you would expect it because a lot of guys in the Maritimes, they're very laid back. But at the end of the day, he did say all the right things. He likes the group. He likes the work ethic. You know, everybody's getting along. There's a lot of camaraderie. And that's what you want to heal. And that's the biggest reason why players want to come to Montreal now, because the old ways of being separated from administration and not getting along with anybody, and your GM being an asshat who drinks vegetarian beer, or non-alcoholic beer. You know what I'm talking about. I don't have to mention names, do I? Pierre Gauthier. But yeah, Dobson absolutely loving being with Montreal. And one of the things he was asked about too was how he felt being alongside Mike Matheson. Now, of course, Matheson, a lot of questions about him. Is he going to be on the third pairing? Is he going to be on the second? What's going to happen? Well, Dobson talked about what they both need to do if paired together to be successful defensemen.
I think it'd be good. I think the game's so fast. I think we're both good skaters where if you can be on top of guys, have great gaps, use our defending with our legs, good sticks, it can be frustrating to play against. I think that'll be a big emphasis. I think our whole back end as a whole, a lot of great skaters back there. So we're going to want to have great gaps, defend with our feet, and make it frustrating for the opposition. And at the end of the day, if you close plays early, and you're on the transition, and that's where the skill will take over. So that's definitely something I think me and Mike as a pair can do well, and also a decor as a whole.
And that's a great way to answer. You know, the fact that he recognizes that all the guys are mobile, they can move, they can close gaps quickly, have good sticks, use their legs, and all those things. You're talking about 2 days in. If you can recognize that, then it's a long way towards being able to build some chemistry, understand how your teammates are, and be able to move on and be successful with any pairing, whether he's with Matheson or anybody else. You know, you take a look at, you know, whether it's Struble, Jackeye, Hudson, of course, Dobson himself, Matheson, Reinbacher. If there's one talent that all those players have, and I'll add Carey to that as well, is that they all skate extremely well. And that's a big plus for the Montreal Canadiens as a whole defense corps. Now, I'm going to introduce a segment that was, I'm going to say, inspired by Billy. And Billy, you know who I'm talking to when I say this. Unfortunately, I can't name it what you said because it's being used by a certain reporter over at the Gazette. But I did come up with a name, and this name for the segment where I'm going to rant a little bit is based on something that we did a long time ago on Montreal Hockey Talk with my good friend, Nicky Franchise, Nick Murdaco. Nicky, I still love you, pal, and I brought this segment back just for you.
Asti de crise de tabarnak, asti de calice de vierge. Asti de crise de tabarnak, asti de calice de vierge.
That breaks my stick is the name I came up with. It's the best I could do without swearing, so give me a little bit of a break. But I'm going to get to what I talked about in the intro, and that is Kirby Dach. One of the things about Kirby Dach and what they're doing with him is that's really wrong is they're keeping him away from scrimmages. And hear me out. While on the surface, the doctors may think they're doing him a favor, are they really doing that to him? Wouldn't you prefer that the team know right now that there's something wrong with Dach's leg and he may need to rehab longer instead of waiting until the preseason and possibly having him get injured against an opposition team? Wouldn't it be easier for him to ease in where he's not getting absolutely wallpapered along the boards by an opposing player, especially not probably some AHL schlub that he may face, as opposed to being guys in your own scrimmage where they're not looking to take your head off or take your legs out from under you? There was a video of him in a battle drill with Arbor Jackeye today, where he looked really strong in his legs and he was pushing Jack-Eye off and he made his way to the front of the net and he looked really good and really strong off his injured right leg. So the question is, why not put him in a scrimmage? If all you're going to do is skate up and down the ice and throw the occasional hit, why are you sheltering him? What are you worried about exactly? Why are the doctors why are they so worried? I know this isn't Marty St. Louis, and it's not the coaching staff, because he mentioned in his press conference that there's a plan for Dach and that he's following it. So this isn't something that Marty St. Louis is putting into place. It's something the doctors are doing. And now when I think about it, and I go back to the years where Graham Reinben was the chief medical officer for the Canadiens behind the bench, and we had that huge stretch of seasons where we had players, we were losing 400 or 500 man games in a single season. That's where I asked myself the question, maybe they should wait a little bit longer before they bring players back, or maybe they should ease them in. Well, this is a little bit too much easing in, because Kirby Dach has had a long time to rehab, and he looks fine on the ice. There's no, it doesn't look like there's any bad effects to his knee. So why not push the envelope a little bit? Why not have him take a hit or two, see how his knee responds? Better yet, mentally, how does the player respond? Isn't it better if he's in a game, in a scrimmage, and he gets bumped by somebody and feels a tweak in his leg, and then you see him kind of back off naturally, than if it was to happen in a preseason game on a hit that's much more meaningful for a guy who's trying to make an NHL roster? I think about it, right? I don't think I'd have a problem with putting him into a scrimmage. So why bounce him around from one group to the next? If you're going to be honest about him being your second-line center to start the season, then don't flip Oliver Kapanen in between Line A and Demidov. Leave Dach where he is. Let them build some chemistry. One practice is not going to do it. One scrimmage is not going to do it. They need to be on the ice together multiple times, just like Line A and Demidov did over the summer. Dach was in BC with Goulet. We all know this. So he didn't have a chance to really work with those guys here in Montreal. And when he did get back, it was up to Adam Nicholas to put together some drills so that the medical staff could see Dach's progression and decide what they were going to do with him. All those steps were taken properly. But then once you decide, okay, we're going to put him on the ice with a full contact jersey, then be honest with yourself. And don't turn around and say, okay, well, we're going to not scrimmage him because we don't want him to get hurt in a scrimmage. Let him get hurt in a preseason game. It's the dumbest thing I've heard from a medical staff. Stop that. Put him out there. Let's see what happens. The worst case scenario, he tweaks it and he has to rehab it now as opposed to in the middle of the season again. Think about the player for a minute here and not just the repercussions for the team. The player's in the last year of his contract and he's an RFA at the end of it. If he doesn't perform, are the Canadiens going to offer him a contract? Better yet, is any other team going to be able to offer him a contract? And even beyond that, would the Canadiens be able to get rid of him at the trade deadline? None of that would be possible if he gets injured in the middle of the season. So stop trying to protect yourself from something that might happen and try to protect yourself in a way that's going to help you move forward, where he takes the hits now. He sees whether or not he's actually going to be able to take it. And then move forward from there, if he does or he doesn't. Don't wait till October to put him into a game and say, oh, shit, his knee, he busted it up again. Test it now in an environment that's controllable by the coaching staff and by the doctors. Where they're watching. They see something, they can pull him right there on the spot. It's not in the middle of a game. It's not going to hurt the team roster-wise. I mean, come on. I mean, it's the first time we've gone through this as an organization where we've had players injured and come back and look like crap. Do we forget how long they kept Andrei Markov on the ice the first time he hurt his knee? And what happened? They waited until he blew it the second time. It's exactly what happened with Dach. Not that they were expecting Dach's knee to go, but that's what happened. And a lot of this is on the player as well. If Dach is going to come back and be 100%, he's got to be honest with himself and he's going to be honest with the medical staff. If he's going to tweak his knee, he's got to turn around and say, guys, you know what? Something doesn't feel right. Go get another MRI. Let's make sure the structure's solid. And if you're not feeling well, we'll stick you with a physiotherapist, loosen you up a little bit, and get you back on the ice. Not the other way around where, I blew my ACL again. Oh, damn, I got to go in for surgery again. And oh, shit, my career might be over. I mean, am I not making sense here to all of you? Am I thinking the wrong way? Am I overblowing this? Do I think they're overprotecting him? Do you agree? Or do you think You want to see him in a scrimmage now between Line and Demidov. I mean, as I said, be honest. This is my opinion, right? It doesn't have to be yours. If you turn around and you tell me I'm nuts, yes, I'm nuts. I've heard that before. But if you're going to turn around and you agree, give me the reasoning behind it. Do you agree? Should he be in the scrimmages now to see how he does? Why wait until preseason game? Even in his press conference, Marty St. Louis said, how many games do we have? 6? Yeah, he'll get in a game. Huh? But he's not going to get into a scrimmage. That's what I don't understand. The environment is safer in a scrimmage than it is in a preseason game. What the hell? Just let him scrimmage. If you see something you don't like, pull him off. Simple, man. Now, one last thing before I go. Got a little bit of a shout out from Greece today, from a gentleman by the name of Anastasios. And I answered him and I called him Tasso in the comments. Now, my best man's name is Tasso. I assume that's what your friends call you. If they call you Thanasi instead, I apologize. But thank you for listening from Greece anyway. And thank you to all of you for listening in on a daily basis. I'm definitely not broadcasting tomorrow. Sunday's my day off. I'm taking one. And apparently my wife told me I got to cut down a tree. But anyway, bye for now.